It sounds like you're also giving back. You're driving a van full of water to
Yes.
shut-ins. You're helping the disadvantaged that might be more disadvantaged than yourself,
We
that might be
have,
more damaged than yourself.
yes.
And that doesn't take away from the damage that you have and your family has.
And thank you for that. You know, my kids are, I don't know, I have the most compassionate children. Um, there's always someone that's worse than you. There's always someone that has less than you. If we can go out, we have seen kids. This was the saddest one. We went to a house to deliver water, and there were three kids there, seven. I think they were 7, 9, 11. I apologize. It was like last September. Mom came down to get the water out of this apartment. These kids, you would have thought it was Christmas morning, and it was bottled. It was a case of water. Um, yes, we're trying to help others. It is the most wonderful feeling in the world, and we'll keep doing it
And I'm
until.
gonna keep researching and calling people out. And by the way, Jack, when we're done here today, me and you need to have some conversation because I got some paperwork.
Excellent.
Keri's
Uh,
helping with that too. She's gonna help with the with making sure it's out there and being heard as well.
And I've
But
always been more of a background kind of person, and I was good with that on purpose. But right now, all the citizens of Flint have had is each other. Some of the colleges outside of Flint, the teachers' unions outside of Flint, they've donated water. Don't get me wrong. But on the base, we're helping each other. The, the government, the state, the feds, no one is sending us water to help. We're helping each other, which is why we do distribute. Somebody needs to reach these people. We realized, and you were part of that conversation, weren't you, Lee? The one
yes.
that took place like at 4 in the morning when we suddenly decided, wait a minute, we have all these people that aren't getting water.
Hmm.
And it was 5 people. And it took off from there. And so we delivered water. Um, right now, we have to look out for each other. So we are.
You know how many times I've heard that people have run out of water, so they have no choice. They have no choice but to drink what's coming through their taps because they cannot financially afford
Yep.
to go and get water. And speaking of, remind me when we get off of here, there's a name and number I need to give you on that. Um, so, but that's that you don't have a choice.
No. And we ran into parents who their kids are still eating food cooked with water
Hmm.
because you cannot get on a bus with 2 or 3 cases. And I met this saddest thing ever, 2 or 3 cases of water and a couple kids in tow, and then walk it back to your house. There is such a huge portion of this community still being overlooked.
Yes.
So, to answer your question, Jack, we've got a vehicle. If we can help, we help. That's all there is to it.
Well, there's one of the ladies that I was helping with before, and she's back without a car now. So, um, she like I got a message that she was drinking the water and it made her sick, and so
And it will. Internally, externally, um, I have seen things within my husband and kids I have never seen before, and the occurrence
like the gastrointestinal stuff, like the upset stomach and
chronic. And Vicky has liver pain. She's 15. I know she's my daughter. I can honestly say she's never had a drink. She does not do drugs. She has liver pain. Really abnormal at 15. She's not old enough, even if she was drinking. One of the doctors said she's not even old enough to have cirrhosis from alcoholism. But the kid has never had a drink. And you know her, Lee. This is not her set of things to do.
Oh, I know.
Good. She won't be able to anyhow. Which she didn't care. But we've watched her rub her liver for about 8 weeks now. And she just kept seeing it sore, sore, sore. I thought it was her ribs. Never in a zillion years would I have thought, oh, my almost 16-year-old having liver pain. Seriously? Never crossed my mind. But that's what it is.
You have a pet, Keri.
Yes.
How is your pets doing? Or your pet?
We have several pets. We know a lot of people that have buried several. We only have one that even qualifies for testing because she's old. In February of 15, her liver function, kidney function, everything function, she was 13, was that of a young dog. She was healthy as not, doing very well. And I mean, when I say liver function, it was 230, which is literally that of a young dog. I had her into the vet in August, early August. I had them test her. Got a phone call 7:15 the next morning. Her liver function is now over 1,200. She is in the final stages of liver disease. Her eyes have started turning yellow, and they can't fix it. The other animals we have, my one daughter called to see about testing a cat, any cat, pick a cat, and was told they don't qualify for geriatric testing. They're too young. And they don't do that because they just don't do that, even if you request it. The only way they can test them for lead poisoning is to remove a huge piece of an organ, preferably the liver and heart. The animal cannot live that way. So it's only at necropsy after death. So all they could tell us is watch for neurological disorder. They start twitching. They start having difficulty walking. And within about 3 days, they'll be dead. After that, we can test them. But when we found out about the lead in water, I called our vet back. We've had a great working relationship for years. But our last old dog was 14. We had him his whole life. And these have been our vets. And I called him back, and I just asked him very open-ended, is there anything else that could have caused Jasmine's liver failure? And I left it there. It said not another word. And he said, no, absolutely not. He said, Keri, you're talking about heavy metals like lead and copper and aluminum. And they just went, oh, my God, you're in front. And all I could say is, I'm so sorry. So at that point, they gave her less than 6 months to live. And they can't help her. There's nothing to be done.
Who pays for these tests?
We do.
Is it the city, the state? They haven't set up a fund?
No.
If you're 6 years or younger, Are your tests paid for by the city or the state?
I know they were offering free testing for little kids, but it's finger prick test. Michael alone has over $500 in medical bills. Jasmine, well, we're getting close. Vets are expensive. No one has paid a cent but us. No one's offered to help us. No, we're totally abandoned. It's good luck. The trips back and forth to Ann Arbor, on us. Everything is on us. And that's one thing I believe that's got to be handled. Somebody needs to put together a fund to take care of every single person exposed to or poisoned by the lead that was in our water. This is not what Flint did. This is what was done to us.
I'm sorry that I wasn't paying fully attention to that. I'm going to admit I was not. Hashtag Flint did an interview with Josh Freeman.
And how
And
did that go?
and it keeps, like, I keep getting alerts, different people, and I want to vomit.
They, from him or?
Yes. Hashtag Flint asked, you said that public service is in your blood. Should we expect to see you run for anything in the near future? I will run for public office. It's very satisfying helping literally hundreds of people resolve an issue that you're having within a city. Also, I think that there are many opportunities for local units of government to work together to find efficiencies and cost reductions in offering everyday services. I've seen the benefits firsthand and would like to work towards making that happen. What was the most valuable lesson you learned while serving Flint?
Oh, don't even say it.
Being honest in what you tell people, and they will appreciate far more than promising the moon when reality does not make that possible. People may not agree with your position and may not like the situation, but they will appreciate that you're being honest with them. Also, you can't be everything to everyone. Don't commit yourself to something if you aren't going to be able to perform. Biggest surprise, the scope of problems the city faces. I knew there was going to be problems, but I thought with tough decisions they would be fixed. During my time in office, our revenue declined at such a rapid rate that no matter what tough decision we made, they weren't going to be tough enough to deal with problems that we faced.
Hashtag Flint's going to have you on the show, too, aren't they, Keri?
Yes.
I'm surprised that they would even have Josh Freeman on.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry not to interrupt, but I just...
Hashtag covers everything.
Right.
Both sides, every side, all sides. They're very, very open. I would have asked him the same questions. Sometimes you give somebody enough rope to just hang themselves. In my opinion.
I don't understand how he couldn't burst into flames whilst these things were coming out of his mouth. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Was he an honest guy?
Oh,
as a council person?
So honest that his wife is now his wife again instead of his ex-wife.
He was not. Here's the problem. Not only was he so far from honest, he was the least compassionate, caring, decent, anything that resembled human person on that council. I'll say it to his face.
I've said it to his face. I said it at the library.
Yes. Do you remember, were you there that one night? No, I don't think you were. This woman stood up out of the blue. I don't even know who she was. She was the last speaker that night. And she looked at him and said, "Sir, do you need a hug or something? Because you are always so mean, so rude, so unprofessional." And that night, Jack, that I was asking about my family and, Were they actually using the biofilm correctly? Was the MDQ actually testing correctly? And lo and behold, I irritated him holding up his evening. That very same night, he's sitting at the table, at the other end of the table, reading his voicemail, reading text messages, laughing out loud, tapping people and pulling their attention to whatever he thought was funny at the moment.
Do you want to know when I realized that he was a waste of my time?
When he was reading?
Serious waste of my time? They did that meeting at the library where they were introducing Natasha Henderson with Mayor Walling and Josh Freeman. And that's when I spoke with Mayor Walling afterwards about the lead levels coming into my home. And Josh Freeman had to put his 2 cents into that. And he was like, "You're making a big deal out of nothing. You're causing panic for no reason. I had my house tested and my lead's at 100, and that's acceptable levels." And I looked at him and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "What was your levels at?" He said, 100. And I said, "Mr. Freeman, if your levels are at 100, you might want to get checked for lead." "No, that's an acceptable level." And I said, "No, Josh, I'm sorry, it's not. Mine's 104. My first one was 104. And I got a panic phone call from the city. So if you're at 100, you've got serious problems."
Yes, you do.
Well, I'll check it when I get home and I'll let you know. And I said, "Well, maybe you should educate yourself also on what is acceptable and not acceptable when it comes to these things before you decide to speak to people and tell them they're causing a panic over nothing." And so he was supposed to, I gave him my email address. He was supposed to email me a copy of his report. He did not follow through, so I started emailing him politely, asking him for a copy of it. And no, his level was at like 1.
100.
Yeah, no difference. And at that point, I'm like, this guy knows nothing, and he's not going to be of any service to me, and he doesn't care to know because, at least Walling actually pretended to be concerned. I mean,
Yeah.
at least he pretended to, care just a little bit, just, gave a shit just a little bit. But, Freeman was just totally just, "No, you're causing a panic over nothing." And it was like,
And that was
if this was your house and your children were being exposed to this, would that be your reaction? I don't think so. Oh, wait, that's right. You moved your kids out of the city.
and his parting shot to the city. Holy crap, that was terrible. We've moved him out there to Davison because they have better schools, just opportunities they can't get here in Flint. This is a Flint City councilman saying zero good about this city. Nothing. So, no. And all I've seen him do is downplay, downgrade, rude. Oh, Lord, if there's another word for it, I can't even think of it. The man is just cruel. So,
Oh, I can't wait to see what office he runs for next.
I don't think Davison will have it. His position, his personality, his behavior precedes him. And it should.
Oh,
We may be on the protest trail again.
there you go.
And I will. There's no way. There's no way. And the only reason he came at me is I'm 4'8". Josh Freeman is maybe 5'5". I will tell you the night Mike and I showed up, and Mike is 6 foot tall, the look on his face was incredible, and he never looked back up from the table. He wouldn't even look at Mike. He's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Well, be careful who you mess with." And I've never hidden I'm married. We've been married 24 years. I don't hide that. I'm very loud about it. And actually, in that video clip, you can see Mike back behind me there. And he spoke that night, and we got him to stay calm, and he did get to come home, so that was good.
There he is.
There he is. He was, wow, angry.
He didn't say much.
No, very succinct and to the point.
Very much to the point.
Yeah. He's very protective of his wife and kids. Very. And when I finally calmed down and could tell him about Vicky's liver, he lost it. He has lost it. Who do I go after? How do I take care of this? Who needs to be charged? You know, he and I handle things different. I cry a lot. He's ready to take on the world. And so am I.
You don't cry alone.
No, I don't. No. No.
What would you say to mothers of Flint that have not picked up filters yet, that haven't gotten the bottled water?
Get it.
You've got to. You've got to.
But see,
No.
that's part of the problem, though. Like, there are mothers who don't know. There's still people that don't know. I understand it's a state of emergency now. I don't know if it's still as bad as it was as far as people not knowing. But there were still people who, like, they're there for, like, Job Corps. They, you know, they've been in the city for a month or two or whatever, and they don't have smartphones. They don't have internet. They spend their time going from Job Corps to taking care of their kids. So there are still people that, you know, last month did not know that there's lead in the water because they're not from around there. I mean, I hope now that's different.
I don't know. And my other thing is, too, there's people that may know there's lead in the water. However, all the giveaways are done during the 9 to 5 hours. You're missing a huge group of working population. Listen, in my opinion, the filters help. It's better than nothing. We really work more off of our zero water picture.
You know what, Keri? I have to disagree with you on just partially. The filters would be enough if they weren't still charging insane amounts for the water.
Exactly. I am so tired of that.
It is a Band-Aid fix. You hand a filter for a kitchen sink, but it's shower in it and you know, still come in contact with it and still pay a $200 water bill. No,
Right.
that is unacceptable.
And that's and I mean, obviously here we're not even depending on the filter because there's already so much damage.
Right.
I'm done playing craps with Mike and Vicky. But I was told, and it was somebody being nice to me, well, you can get a filter for your shower. Is, you know, it's only $60 to $100. Well, hold on. I'll only write a check. I mean, you're talking among the $200 water bill, plus all the extra water. We can't afford to bathe in water. I mean, you can't bathe adults in water. You just can't.
Well, I mean, you could if you could financially afford to do it, but
Right.
I know for 2 4-year-olds taking a bath together, it was 10 gallons heated on the stove. And it's a dance, too. It's not even just like you heat it up and dump it in. It's like you start out heating it up. You have to continue to heat it up. And depending on the weather outside, if it's cold, if it's hot, if it's no, you know, if it's great temperature, you have to watch because you can get it too hot, you can get it too cold. You know, like
Exactly.
there's all
What a
these
pain.
variables to it. It takes about 45 minutes to an hour from start to finish with the boiling process to get that stuff in there. That's 10 gallons, barely filling a tub for two 4-year-olds. So, I mean, think
Right.
about how many gallons that would be per adult.
Exactly. And then the other issue is our home, for example, and it's been tested, we still have high TTHMs. We don't dare boil the crap.
Right.
And we're not alone. See, and that's the other thing that's kind of fallen off the radar. Oh, the TTHMs resolved. No, it didn't.
I was told today, I actually, when I was talking with Wayne State, that majority of the TTHM levels are down, but there are still places, people's residents in the home, that I think it was 8 or 10 people that are out of compliance still.
So,
And it's the winter months, so it's cold, so it's not going to be the issue it was. Come May, June, July, August, September, what's it going to look like then?
exactly. And I'm not going to get in the shower, and usually I take excessively hot showers. There's no way.
And I know
The stream.
when I talked with Wayne State, um, when the city tested my house July 9th of 2015, and they did the test twice because the first test came back negative for chlorine, no chlorine, 0. Okay? They did it again because like that can't be right. So they did it again, and it still came back 0. And then I did the 30-day test with Mark Edwards, where I tested every day with it, and it still came back from August to September, 0.
Wow.
No chlorine. Okay, and then when I spoke with Wayne State this morning, it was there's still a concern because there's your house is only barely any chlorine, like almost 0, like not really registering.
Right now we have so much, it's a swimming pool again. Seriously. And this is what I don't get. Just like the biofilm they're adding, or I'm sorry, the phosphates they're adding for the biofilm. For some reason, Flint seems to work on 1 or 2 bases. All or nothing. They don't need to be, the water group sat there, Mark Edwards on the phone, told them adding more phosphates does not build the biofilm up any faster. And there can be danger to having too much in. Don't do it. They're adding more, just like the chlorine. They do a chlorine burn. We all get TTHMs, so what do? Then they stop using chlorine. I don't understand why.
Well, that part they do so they can be in compliance.
Yeah, oh, exactly.
That part is done intentionally so they can be in compliance so they're not getting hit with a violation when they do the chlorine burn.
And that's sickening.
And it doesn't represent what's truly out there.
Yeah, and it's our health. I don't understand it. They've been told a zillion times. Citizens are still saying it. We're still saying it at city council meetings. Adding the phosphate is not a good idea. Here's the science and research behind it. Your own water board said don't do it. And yet they're saying, but it's going to help. No, it's not. You can't rebuild the biofilm faster than a set amount. Here's my thing. They just spent millions on that new special machine for biofilm. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
The one they were using all along for corrosion control that arrived a month ago? That one. It's an excuse to use it. Well, we got it. Now we have to use it, but it's not helping anything. And we don't need the more phosphates. It doesn't help. But you can't tell them anything. When they totally blew off Mark Edwards and Dr. Hannah. Seriously, where do you go from that? They don't listen to the absolute experts. We citizens are lucky we can draw air alone. We're so stupid. So no, they're not going to listen to us. Is it our friend Josh again?
No, my daughter's got to go to work soon.
Can you talk about, before we go, can you talk a little bit about your new mayor, the first female mayor of Flint, Karen Weaver? And Keri, you supported her. Here you're wearing her shirt at the city council meeting. What does Karen Weaver do to the situation now?
She's been amazing. She has been amazing. She ran on a platform that we needed a state of emergency. We know a lot of pressure was put on our former mayor to call a state of emergency, and he was not willing to do that. Everything Karen spoke of doing, and that's the other thing, never campaigned before this year ever, 45, never got close to it, had no interest. And actually the way I met Karen, I stopped by her office to talk to her about a mom that was just mom to mom. We had just gone through Mike and Vic. I was overwhelmed. I went to speak to her as a person. And before I left, I signed up for her campaign. She is headed the right way with us. She's getting us the help we need. She's not taking the advice of, no, you shouldn't ask for a state of emergency. She even said it yesterday in an interview. She has said all along, let them tell us no. Her degree in psychology, I think, is really important right now because there are so many people so damaged. But everything I've seen so far, and I know she and I aren't always going to agree, and I don't expect that. But when it comes to the water, man, she's been all over it since day one. All over it. She knows what's going on. But she was caught in the same testing too, right, LeeAnne?
Yes. Well,
Yep.
I mean, at first, I mean, when she first got involved in it, it was kind of like the rest of us, like, I'll show you mine if you show me your kind of thing. Like,
Right.
She didn't want to jump on board on something and not, have it be, the state and the city did a really good job of telling everybody we were crazy, we were stupid, we were liars. There was nothing to this. There was nothing happening, and that, so everybody kind of backed off. And Karen didn't do that. It was more of a, okay, tell me from your guys' perspective what's going on. Show me, why you're saying this, and then, got behind us when it came to the water stuff. She participated with the Virginia Tech testing. And
I apologize. That's what I meant.
Yeah, she participated with that testing. Still waiting to hear back from the information I gave her when I was talking to Mark about having Virginia Tech do the additional testing, independent testing for the city this next round. I haven't heard back. I called and left a message last night, hoping to hear something back, sometime today or tomorrow. So one of the things that we did not get a chance to discuss on here today was one of the things that we came on here for.
Yeah.
So, can you guys give me about 2 minutes?
Do you want to talk about it another time? I mean, I know your time is limited here. We can pick that up next week, in 2 weeks. We don't have to do it all today. Give people something to look forward to.
Okay, well, we can pick it up. Keri, can you do it next week?
I can.
Okay.
Or if not, we can just work it around your schedule. It could be next week, 2 weeks. I mean, there's a lot of stories in Flint.
Yes,
there's a lot of pain and suffering in Flint that you don't really get with the mainstream news coverage. They give you 30 seconds, and then they keep rehashing the story over and over and over again, but they keep leaving out things.
Right. There's certain parts, like you can say it, I can't tell you how many interviews I've done where, you know, I've said people's names and who was involved and or thanked the people who did whatever, and all of it gets cut out. They take this little 30-second or 15-second blurb out of, you know, 45 minutes, and it's like, well, that kind of sucked. Not that I don't appreciate them interviewing, but, you know, put the names out there. Call the people out that need to be called out on this.
But
Yeah.
they have a format. That format is, you're going to give you 2 minutes, and they have a whole formula on how they do it, and you just get plugged in there, and they're looking for the sensationalism, and they all are going along to get along. You know, if the Associated Press puts out something, they all kind of go along with that Associated Press story.
Right.
They're not really doing their due diligence in terms of a Kurt Guyette actually boots on the ground to find out, knocking on your door to find out what is it like to be in your household.
Right.
They went to Melissa May's house to basically drag out her trash and say, here's her bottled water, and they threw it on the front pavement. They said they don't have recycling here. I mean, again, it's all kind of tongue-in-cheek for kind of sensationalism.
Yeah.
Right. And on that, Keri, you were amazing this morning. I'm so glad you were able to be on there today and to do that today.
Thank you.
You're talking about MSNBC, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And my whole thing, again, and I know I say it all the time, this isn't the Weber show. This is the Flint show.
Oh, I know it is. I know it is. I'm glad that they're paying. I'm not for the children, because I've been advocating for the children since day one with what happened with Gavin. But it's also, I'm thankful that it is getting out there that it's everybody. I mean, the children are the most affected by it, but we can't forget about everybody else.
That's right. And especially right now, and I guess too, I see it's very important, is as these documents move to Washington now, it's 100,000 people.
Right.
Plus, give or take whatever got missed in the census. Okay. Everybody's been exposed.
Right.
Now, some people, me included, drink less water. My exposure may be less than theirs. Okay, it doesn't appear that way, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but none of us are going to walk away from this going, wow, dodge that bullet.
Right.
I know a few people that from the minute they said we're going to the Flint River, said I'm done, I'm not drinking it.
Yeah,
That's a handful of people.
You have people like me who had this inexpensive aesthetics filter, which, I mean, I didn't know the difference between filters back then that I do now. But, we had this inexpensive, whole house filter that we had installed when we bought the house because the house had no plumbing. So we figured, why not? And, when they said they were switching to the Flint River, it was like, okay, well, we've got a filter, so, we're okay. And no, we weren't.
No.
We absolutely 100% were not. And see, everybody mistakes that filter as a carbon filter. That's the same thing Wayne State said to me today. And I'm like, it's not a carbon filter. It is a inexpensive filter. You buy it in a 2-pack for $15 at Lowe's. All it does is sediments. That's it.
Yeah. We probably have a better filter in the turtle tank. I'm not even... Because
that's what I mean. Like, it wasn't anything. I think we spent like $50 for it when we were putting the plumbing in. It's not like it's some great big, it's going to, I mean, granted, Mark said it probably saved our lives because of the bigger particles that it was catching when it was running into the house. And the lead, it did catch some of the lead, but essentially, we still got poisoned.
It wasn't a lead filter, but
right.
Like you said, none of us knew. In my case, I didn't know 8 months ago what I know now about water.
Right.
My God, your knowledge surpasses mine because you're my go-to if I'm like, hang on, I don't know, but I know how to find out. This is not a subject I ever wanted to know. I'll be that honest. I never sat here and thought, I'm going to study water next week. No, this was not on my bucket list. But sometimes you have to learn to protect yourself.
Right.
That's what we've done.
Yes, it is.
That's all you can do.
And I mean, that's the thing. Like, people, they portray us as victims, and we were victimized, but we are not victims. We are fighters.
Yes, we are.
Victims take it lying. Victims don't get back up and fight it. We're fighting it. So there's a difference.
You were abused.
Yes.
And now your abuser is coming in and say they're going to make it all right.
Yeah.
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot for them to make it all right.
We are going to make sure it's made right. Not quite the same idea he has.